Hello and welcome to a Dawn of War 3 replay. This is a replay between two quite high level players who I'll introduce and then we'll get started. So this is bikerushownz in the southwestish corner, and he's playing Space Marines. He's normally an Eldar player and he's won several of the ESL tournaments, the ESL Open tournaments for Dawn of War 3 as Eldar, but here he's playing Space Marine Blood Ravens. And in the northeast corner we have Galahad94, who has come second in an ESL tourney, I think, and he's normally a Space Marine player, but he's recently been experimenting with Orks, and these are both very high level players, and they're playing here on Charon's Rest, which we shall get started with now. So early on there's going to be a lot of Gretchens and Servitors. So Galahad's going for two boys squads very early on and 3 Gretchens, whilst Bikerush is ignoring actual line units from the stronghold and is instead building himself a barracks and is trying to take a bit of the map with Servitors. So Galahad gets out quite early onto the map and starts building a war tower up on a northern requisition point, whilst Bikerush is spread out a little bit more.
We've taken a resource point.
And we see an early power generator coming up here and an early requisition generator coming up here. We can have a quick look at the doctrines before any of the action happens. So Bikerush is running Tip of the Spear, improved listening post, which means that both of his listening posts become good for reinforcing and they're much tougher. And he's also running Emperor's Influence, which reduces the cooldown of the battle standard, which is used by the Space Marines. So we also see Galahad getting a Daka hut up here, and that coupled with the double power improvements on this and this is a strong indication that he's going to be doing a truck build. And meanwhile Bikerush has put up another requisition generator, and he's getting his assault Space Marines out early, so it's going to be trucks versus ASMs, which are both pretty strong, well-known strategies for each of the races. And here's the little Servitor trying to back decap, but he's not going to be able to because of his pathetic little DPS. He slaps away at the Ork generator. And we've got a war tower amping up the boys for an early push, but in fact the ASMs are actually on the far side of the map, so there's not really going to be much combat going on. So the boys are just going to push in and do a little bit of early damage to the shield generator. And yes, Bikerush now has 3 total requisition income versus Galahad's 2 power income, and he has 2 SMs in the field, whereas Galahad's only got 2 boys at the moment. And that power generator's been destroyed, so the Servitor can quite happily capture. The assault Space Marines come down over to here, where they're getting shot at a little bit by the war tower, but in general Bikerush does manage to do some actually quite nice economic damage here, where he breaks both of the power income that Galahad had. And it's going to slow Galahad's build down a little bit, and by comparison his focus on attacking the shield generator hasn't actually done any economic damage to Bikerush yet. So Bikerush is going to come down here with a standard in play to try and contest this. Does a quite early assault leap that doesn't really do very much damage from these assault Space Marines, but he's still got his actual normal jumps which he can use. So two sets of assault Space Marines. The Orks are on the banner control point, and that means they've contested it, which stops it from doing a lot of things, such as giving the shields to the assault Marines. So now we've got 3 squads of assault Marines versus 2 squads of boys who both use their own little shouts to get their own shields. But I don't think they're going to be able to get this shield generator down with 3 squads. I think it would be a good idea to back them out quite soon, Galahad. Kill Team Ironmore is also here, along with Storm Boys. So yeah, 2 boys, oh dear, both boys squads get nuked. But there's a solid suicide bomb coming in from the Storm Boys, and a 4-minute truck. And early on, Space Marines do not have good responses to the truck, and I think, yes, over here we can see that Bike Rush has built a flamer rather than a rocket launcher, which means that there's no armor piercing or true damage response to this truck, so it is going to basically dominate the battlefield. And here he's pulling the Storm Boys back out with the tractor beam, but it's having a little bit of a fun response. But he's got his second truck up, so this is quite a really strong opening for Orks. And whilst this has been going on, Bike Rush has sneakily set up a listening post back up on Galahad's 3-point requisition point. So here we're going to have 2 trucks. And sneakily, Galahad actually micros his Storm Boys out of one truck and into the other, so we can use Suicide Bomber, which does armor piercing damage, which makes it really, really effective at killing shield generators. And now he's going to push off down to the east here. So at the moment, Bike Rush has 1, 2, 3 requisition income and 2 power income. By comparison, Galahad has 1, 2, 3 power income, but no requisitions. So the Assault Marines push up here to fight what is a second war tower. But Galahad actually does, with his truck, Suicide Bombers, manage to clear the shield generator, which provides a really early boost in income, but at the cost of one of his war towers. For some reason there's a servitor up here by the power core, I'm not really sure why. Anyway, the trucks continue to chase off the Assault Space Marines, and ooh, that is a really nasty Suicide Bomber. A lot of damage there. With the Storm Boys now being an elite unit in Dawn of War 3, the trucks essentially provide a similar function to their role in Dawn of War 2, is sort of jumping units in. And another Suicide Bomber almost avoided, but not quite. 2 Assault Space Marines dead here. So Bike Rush running these Assault Space Marines out of the way, whilst Kill Team Ironmore comes back in to try and limit the damage. Ooh. Single Assault Space Marine. He's standing around, no! Run for your life. Oh dear. Gunned down by Ork trucks. And it looks like this is going to force Bike Rush back to his base once again. So quickly, we'll have a look at Galahad's talents, or doctrines. So he's got healing scrap, so non-elite units heal after getting scrap. That's stunning, really nice Suicide Bomber there. He's got tractor pull, which is the doctrine that lets him pull, for example, the Storm Boys earlier back into the trucks, get them out of danger. And he's got Gorguts' command, because he's not running Gorguts, which gives units that get thrown out of the trucks a temporary shield, and they taunt when they land. So those are both really, really core parts of the truck doctrine strategy. So I would say at this point Galahad's got a pretty solid advantage. He's got most of the map under his control. He's building an early victory point income generator, which is really surprising. You very, very rarely see those in 1v1s. He's already had... What? Why is there an arsenal up here? What is this? Well, it got cancelled. I'm not quite sure what the plan was. Anyway, Weird Boy comes out. Weird Boy is a very, very strong Ork nuker hero. It counts as support for some reason. So the boy is trying to get some economic damage on Bike Rush even, sorry. But they get responded to by an Assault Marines from the drop pod. And meanwhile, up here, Kill Team Ironmore is discovering that fighting a Weird Boy is not actually that much fun, and they bail out after losing a lot of their health. And the Galahad's trucks come up here to try and clean the listening post that Bike Rush set up earlier. And he's doing this thing where he sort of fires from one truck and then jumps out the unit inside and puts it into another, and fires another Suicide Bomber and puts it into another, which is a really effective way of making use of the truck Suicide Bomb without having too many units committed. It's an alternative to... Wow. So the Assault Space Marines almost got absolutely destroyed by the Fist of Gork from the weird boy over there. But yeah, this tactic of having a single unit that you micro in between the 3 trucks is a really good response. Because what a lot of people do is they put Gretchens in instead, but this is essentially just as effective. But it's slightly more awkward when you actually get to the fights. Obviously this boy's squad is actually only has a single boy left in it, but he's still doing a great job of throwing suicide bombers from who knows where, the warp basically. So meanwhile, Bike Rush is setting up a listening post up here to secure these 3 economic generators. He's got really good income. So even though Galahad has a very, very strong amount of map control in terms of units and things, I think his income is not actually that great. We're looking at Bike Rush, who has plus 526 requisition and 100 power. And by comparison, Galahad only has plus 206 requisition and plus 50 now power, and he's also suffering a little bit of upkeep, you can see in the red there. So even though Bike Rush is quite far behind on the map, and to some extent in units as well, I think. Yeah, it's 3 trucks, a lot of Gretchens for repairs. Bike Rush actually has the better economy at the moment, and he's doing a good job of keeping Galahad's power income from the back quite low. So anyway, we've got some walled up trucks, 4 trucks, and I'm not quite sure what's going on there. It's the weird boy who seems to be stuck inside. So he's going to try and clear out the listening post. But despite all that, even though the suicide bombers do armor piercing damage, they aren't that good at clearing listening posts. So meanwhile, Bike Rush is pushing up with some Assault Space Marines down on the southern flank, clearing out another power income. And here the trucks head over to meet some Assault Space Marines, who are probably going to have to get out of there pretty quickly. Yeah, they're fleeing all the way over to there. No surprise, you don't really want to hang around with 4 trucks and a weird boy. That is not a good plan. I'm not actually sure what happened to that victory point generator. Maybe it got cancelled, but it's definitely not there anymore. We missed that. So there's a solid here we go from the weird boy, just absolutely annihilating some hapless Assault Space Marines. And Galahad's pushing forward towards a rather low HP shield generator here. And the second shield generator, I don't think it gives as much income as the first shield generator on kill. And these Assault Space Marines, because they're inside the heavy cover, actually set up a shield, but against this kind of force, there really isn't very much hope to be staying here. And Galahad's just chucking grots in as well into the mix, even though they do absolutely no DPS. Meanwhile, Gabe is up here having a little duke out with the Storm Boys. As Kill Team Armor moves in to see if they can do anything. And what Bike Rush has done here is he's used the teleport homer to teleport the Kill Team back, and now he's re-equipped them when they come back with a missile launcher, which is much more effective against the trucks. However, Weird Boy shows up and here he goes right into them, and that ability's damage is pretty serious, and Iron War is wiped out. However, Bike Rush has now gotten himself a land speeder, and that is much more effective. It's steadily upgrading itself with a multi-melter, and he's got a shield which I think is from the banner. I don't see. It's possible he's. No, I don't think. There's a doctrine that gives the multi-melter, the land speeder, a shield, but I don't think he's running it. The Deathwatch also gives him a bonus to land speeders, but that's not being run anyway. Anyway, Galahad has a good response with tank busters, who have bonus damage versus skinners, but this little land speeder has killed another truck. Let's actually see. Yeah, having had 4 trucks, Galahad is now actually only down to 1 after some pretty strong play by Bike Rush, and these extremely immobile land speeders are great for back capping and destroying generators, and so much for another squad of Space Marines and some scouts who've been chased down by the weird boy. So we've got another squad of assault marines. Now we've got 2 assault marines, Gabriel and a skimmer, land speeder, versus truck, 2 boys and 2 tank busters, coupled with a weird boy. So I'd say Galahad still has done a pretty good army to control the map with. Meanwhile, Bikerush, however, still has a really good economy. He's still got 3 requisition income and 3 power income. No, 4 power income, in fact, setting up. Whereas Galahad is still lacking on the economy side. So it's not quite as strong as a hold as it looks. Anyway, Galahad's army comes down here, where they spot a listening post that was in development, and it gets cancelled very quickly by Bikerush, refunding all of the resources it was used for. So Galahad goes up here, and I think he's going to catch. Yeah, he catches this power generator just as it completes, so it can't be cancelled. And that is some actual damage. It costs a solid amount of requisition. So Ironmore is back. Gabe and some tactical marines are heading up towards Galahad's camp up here. He's got.
We've let slip a vital resource point.
Yeah, the land speeder is currently being repaired in base. Assault Space Marines are trying to clear out these listening posts, whilst Kill Team Ironmore has returned once again with a rocket launcher, and they're getting a really good, yeah, pretty much a flank on Galahad's base over here. His army's way out of position. He's coming back now. However, those TAC Marines are in a bit of trouble with the Storm Boys, and oh yes, with a truck suicide bomb, that is basically the end of them. Gabe is having a nice time tanking the wall tower little miniguns over there, and clearing out all of the requisition income. And meanwhile, these tank busters are getting a nice couple of shots off on the land speeder. I think, yeah, there's a pretty good chance that it's going down. As well as Gabe getting polished off by the Storm Boys, the Warg Towers and the Weird Boy. And Ironmore and these Assault Space Marines, I don't think they're necessarily in a good position here, no. The ASMs make their way out. Ironmore, on the other hand, is kind of stuck in there. I don't think they're getting out with their lives. What's going on here? It's just some grots. So yeah, the ASM's getting out. However, in that time, Bikerush has built himself a machine cult, and he's getting a Predator Annihilator, which is the anti-vehicle version of the 2 Annihilators, which has some las cannons mounted on it and does heavy armor-piercing damage. So the ASMs, having failed to actually take anything in a battle against the units, are once again doing economic damage against Galahad, clearing out income. Galahad's recapping his northern triple point. And here we have a couple of Scout Marines, some ASMs, and a Predator Annihilator with 4 las cannons mounted. So it's very, very effective at killing enemy vehicles. However, at the moment, the only vehicle that I think Galahad is running is this truck up here. However, the Mega Knobs are technically heavy armor. Anyway, so here's Tank Busters, and they've had a nice bit of loot, and they found themselves some rather good swig mines. I think they're swig mines, bomb squigs, which do armor piercing damage. And even though the basic damage that Tank Busters put out isn't that good against vehicles, the bomb squigs are really, really good. So anyway, Knobs up here, along with some boys, doing some serious economic damage finally to Bikerush's income, while some ASMs also try to flank around the back to try and interrupt this place, but unfortunately arriving slightly too late, just as the listening post is finally built. And now they're fighting Storm Boys and a Warg Tower, and I think they should probably get out of that. I'm not sure. No, they're dead. Another ASM loss. And finally the Knobs clear out the entire area up there. But here's the Annihilator. So how good is an Annihilator against Knobs? Yeah, pretty good. You see that health go down quite quickly from just 2 shots. And Knobs actually only do melee. They only do normal damage in melee. So here's a good conk grenade from the scouts, but here we go from the weird boy, just absolutely wipes them out. More scouts show up here, killing some grots, but they're not going to have a good time of it either. And the attempt to drop down the banner gets immediately captured as well, so Galahad's looking in to finish the game basically here. This turret is trying to sort everything out, and here is an orbital bombardment from Bike Rush. So this basically chases all of Galahad's forces off. It doesn't actually, no, it looks like it is going to catch up with the Mega Knobs, who have a very slow movement speed. Everything else should get out okay, but the Mega Knobs' movement speed is just so abysmal that there is pretty much no chance that they're going to escape, except they get to the truck. But the truck's moving forward. Why? No, you can't suicide bomb those. You have to capture these. And frankly, at this point, the orbital bombardment even has already done its damage and killed the truck as well as dropping these Mega Knobs down to quite low health before they take a massive blast. But even so, that is the turret down. So here's Angelos back, along with some ASMs and Annihilator with a full repair squad, and they're going to take down the Mega Knobs here. So Galahad basically has to back up, and for some reason he's built a Daka hut right outside, presumably for reinforcement and healing, but against an Annihilator it isn't going to last that long. Servitor dies, and Assault Space Marines don't fare much better against more suicide bombers. But Gabe can actually tank a lot of damage, and he's this. I think he's technically classified as a tank hero, which means he is actually very, very good at taking a lot of punishment. Whilst this Annihilator, these 2 Annihilators in fact, just get to continue to shoot in. Storm Boys try and get out with their health still intact. The ASMs are going after them. Bolt pistols going in. One chainsword. And Gabe shows up for the killing blow. One Annihilator does go down to tank busters, and the servitors are quietly standing aghast at what's just happened. But I think Galahad's basically been forced off at this point. See if these knobs can chase down this ASM. I think it's a bad idea. They're going to get las-cannoned to death. Yep, oh dear. Fine red mist there. Gabe's having a nice time fighting some knobs and tank busters, whilst the Predator finally takes out the Daka hut that was built. Ironmore is running away from some boys up here. I'm not really sure what they're doing up there. Grots are having a little slap of the power generator over here. How are we doing on requisition? Galahad's got 2. Yeah, he's got 2 requisition, 1 power. Bike Rush has 1 power, 1, 2, 3 power, and 1 requisition. So he's actually still winning the economic war here. Ooh. Single Assault Space Marine, for some reason trying to chase off boys. Probably not the best idea. Jumps out just about intact, and we have a Dreadnought showing up, and that's pretty rare. Getting to this kind of stage in a 1v1 is pretty rare, and Bike Rush is using his mass recall ability to call everyone who isn't in combat back to base. Whilst Galahad prepares to warg up his boys once again. He's got 2 squads of upgraded, no 3 squads of tank busters now, upgraded knobs, and upgraded boys as well. So he's still got a very, very strong infantry force. There's grots all over the place. Surprisingly, Bike Rush actually opts to upgrade requisition here and lets it complete despite it getting attacked by boys. But meanwhile, we have an actual fight going on here. We've got knobs who've been chucked in from a truck and they're getting a massive taunt off. But Gabriel is knocking everyone around. Now where's Is there a, yeah, there's a banner up here, and it's not actually been capped by the Orks. Knobs, the boys ran through it, but they didn't stay long enough. The Knobs are on the verge of death here. Gabe is doing a solid job of taking out this truck, assisted by the Flamers from Kill Team Imor. Interestingly, Bike Rush has gone back to Flamers here rather than missile launchers, which is correct against Galahad's army composition. It's mostly infantry at the moment. And it's looking like with the Iron War and with this Dreadnought, as well as the army, Bike Rush has a good chance of destroying this encampment here. The tank busters just aren't effective against anything except the Dreadnought here, and even then their damage isn't that good, and we have another orbital bombardment in. So rather than opting to summon a Venerable Dreadnought, Bike Rush is making a lot of use of his elite points on orbital bombardments instead, and that just completely annihilates the Dakar hut, and is now moving over to this war tower. And yeah, at this point Galahad's been he's had this strong lead. He's killed 2 shield generators and a turret, which gives you a huge requisition income bonus and elite points and power. But he's being forced off by this mechanized Space Marine push. And got an orbital drop coming in. Oh, what's happening to the Dreadnought? No, it's still doing pretty well for itself. It's got servitors coming around fixing it. Those Knobs are going to die to Gabriel and the flamethrower from the Iron Kill Team Iron One. The Storm Boys and the Weird Boys getting pushed out. And this is a big swing back for Bike Rush here. As I've said, even though he's generally lacked the map control, like actual established forward bases or anything, he has had very strong economy for the entire game. And that's allowed him to sort of eventually tech into the machine cult. He's got his arsenal going, upgrading vehicle damage and vehicle health by quite a lot. Galahad's actually got some pretty good infantry health and vehicle health built, but he doesn't have quite the same economy, and he hasn't been able to field the same powerful units as Bike Rush at this point. So these Mega Knobs are finally back on the field after their previous humiliating defeat. So you notice that Mega Knobs are actually really slow. What they do have is combi rockets, which are true damage rockets that they can fire, and they have an electric wall, so even though they're slow they can actually lock enemies down. Anyway, here they are clearing out one of Bike Rush's power generators. And meanwhile, Bike Rush is responding in kind, clearing out. I think that's an actual power generator that's been building, but the Weird Boy shows up, and he's not to be tangled with in any sort of an infantry engagement. Machines like heavy armor, he's not quite so good against, but murdering infantry is something the Weird Boy is very proficient at. So we've got these 3 elites over here from Galahad making their way across, a few grots and some tank busters. But here we have Gabriel, a fully repaired las cannon predator annihilator, a dreadnought that's steadily being repaired, Fist of Gork missing wildly on the annihilator there, and Kill Team Imor. And so Bike Rush is giving himself some vision with Gabriel, so that he can shoot with the Predator Annihilator across impassable terrain over here, and this is going to let him damage Galahad's economy again. So Bike Rush still basically maintaining economic control of the game. And here we have a truck again, and even though truck suicide bombers are really strong, I'm just not sure about this army composition. At this point, I feel like Galahad needs to invest in a mech shop and maybe, I don't know, death dreads or possibly tracks even. I think tracks are pretty good at dealing with vehicles. Anyway, he definitely doesn't really want to fight here. He doesn't have vision of this high ground up here, and he's not sure about engaging, so he's backing off quite a bit, and Bike Rush has gotten to deal that economic damage. Galahad's back on 2 requisition and 1 power compared to 2 requisition, 3 power from Bike Rush. And at the moment the game isn't quite swung back in Bite Crush's favour, but it's looking more like it's getting closer that way. A bit more economic damage, but it gets cancelled from Bite Crush before it can be destroyed. And even though Galahad's got access to the core, he's not actually pushing in. With 2 squads of tank busters who are making great use of the Space Marine drop pods grab, he could actually have pushed in here, I think. Bite Crush is... he's ported his kill team out, but he's out of position, so Galahad could actually have pushed down this northern lane here and just gone in straight for the power core, but at the moment he's just not quite confident enough in doing that. His last attempt was met with a pretty ferocious response and he lost a lot out of it. So even though Bite Crush seems to have quite a small army, he actually has a a Dreadnought and a Predator Annihilator in orbital drop, so he's actually quite strong. And he's going to get this shield generator here. There's no way that an unupgraded Nob squad is going to interfere with this. Meanwhile, Galahad going for economic damage on the south side of the map. And I'm not sure how valuable that is. Again, he could be pushing in to finish. But Bite Crush, on the other hand, is going to go for this turret here, which immediately drops its stasis ability. And he's got a Dreadnought and an Annihilator, both of which do really good damage. I think... Oh, that's true damage, interesting, that AoE. But I think Dreadnought does do armor piercing damage, I'm not totally sure. Anyway, he's backing off because Galahad has masterfully called everything back and he's preparing to defend. So there's a suicide bomb, there's a nice stun, lets the tank busters get in some serious rocket volley damage. Fist of Gork comes in but whiffs. And here come the orbital relay drop pods. So there's the second Annihilator, the first one's been taunted by boys. And here is, not 1 but 2 heavy abilities. So we've got the Rocks coming in here and we've got orbital relay right in the middle of the forces. Orbital bombardment really. Gabe's trying to tank the Storm Boys. I'm not sure what's happening with the Rocks. I don't think they've been picked up by anyone at the moment. So that's probably going to be a huge rock coming in. Storm Boys jump out. This Annihilator at the back here is getting to fire quite happily. The Boys squad's probably going to die. This orbital bombardment has done some serious damage along with the Dreadnought over here. Both tank buster squads are dead. The Weird Boy is still pottering about, but he's just not effective against this sort of army composition. Kill Team Ironmore has managed to survive, the banner providing a nice bit of shielding for these units. 2 Dreadnoughts is a really quite powerful mechanized force, and yet another Predator Annihilator to replace the one that was lost to the final Rocks drop. Gabe's heading back, and yeah, I think Galahad's been pretty badly pushed off at this point. He's got himself his Boys Hut and his Dagger Hut, but there's no sign of a mech shop here. So really, Boys and tank busters just aren't going to be enough to face this kind of strong mechanized force from Bite Crush, and I think pretty soon we're going to see Bite Crush pushing in with this for actual finishing. And it's rare that you get to see these 1v1s really go on for 35 minutes like this. Normally, especially with Eldar and their joyous webway teleporting feet of foot nonsense, they finish games pretty quickly with Striking Scorpions closing out the game with their early true damage crits. But with that race not featured here, we actually get a really quite long, fatal game with a lot of deaths going on in it. Servitors coming out at the very end, because with such a mechanized force you can get a lot of servitors in for repairs. They're only something like 50 requisition at this point, and he's got a lot of requisition that he doesn't really need to invest into infantry. Dreadnought doing a little bit more economic damage. Galahad pushing out to try and kill a power generator, but really that's not going to end this match. And here comes Bite Crush's army, steadily making their way across the map for what looks like it'll probably be a final engagement. The servitors are having a good time engaging the boys and the knobs in close combat. I'm not sure that's what they were intended uses for. Weird Boy teleports in with an here we go and gets rid of most of Kill Team Ironmore, but nothing is really contesting these Predators. He's actually got a Predator Destructor here, which are the anti-infantry variants. I'm not totally sure if they're working as intended, because they have armor piercing damage for some reason down there, which isn't actually effective against normal armor, but they do damage in an area of effect, so they've still got that. I'm not sure why they have armor piercing damage really. Anyway, yeah, Galahad came off once again pretty badly. He's still investing in these trucks, but they just aren't, you know, they aren't a good response against Predators. They can't really pull their weight. Even though Suicide Bomber is armor piercing damage, it's got a long cooldown on it. So another shield generator goes down, and I think we're definitely looking at the final push here with 5 Predators, 2 Dreadnoughts, a 6th Predator in production, Gabe and Kill Team. Where are Kill Team? Where are you lads? Oh, you're back over here with their flamer. Anyway, there's the truck sending in some tank busters for quite a painful death down here. And yeah, we're getting the standard, which is a good way to... Ooh, a Killer Can finally comes out. Yeah, he's picked up his mech shop again after he lost that one earlier game. But it's really too little too late at this point. But the Killer Cans, their vehicle barrage is extremely high damage. True damage indeed. So it's one of the things Ork has that is effective at taking down this kind of vehicles and so on. But with the banner shield, it takes more than a single Killer Can, and really this turret's going to go down pretty quickly, and I think the core is going to follow. Gabe's getting in here, disrupting the Storm Boys. That single war tower just isn't going to do anything. Another orbital bombardment coming in, and this should be the finish of the game. So yeah, really well played by Bike Rush. He teched up into these Annihilators, Predators, and really pulled the game back despite losing pretty hard in the early game. And goodbye to the Power Core. So yeah, that was a really enjoyable match of 1 versus 1. As I said earlier, it's rare to see them go on for this long. So I hope you enjoyed that as much as me, and I hope you enjoyed my slightly amateurish casting, and thanks for watching.